boy, time for more niche gimmicks that nobody cares about. Or at least I thought nobody cared, but it looks like with the release of Killing Floor 3, some of my old videos during the beta have gotten a spike in views, and some of those people are probably interested in trying the build that I showed off back then. Unfortunately, I come bearing bad news. Someone on the dev team also watched my videos and decided to nerf the strategy. For those of you who don't know what I'm even talking about, let me introduce to you the melee Firebug build. Rather than use things like ready for action, red carpet, and focus fire to scale the damage of something like the Vulcan or the Ifrit so we can run around and kite things like you normally would, we opt for all of the survivability options instead. These allow us to stay in the thick of things rather than run away. Unfortunately, staying in the thick of things isn't a good strategy unless you have a way to kill things close to you, and the Dragon's Breath and Flamethrower just aren't good enough at that to justify this risky play. That was where Barbecue Bash came in. The demonstration video would have you believe that this is supposed to be used with gun bashes. Don't do this. You're actually griefing yourself if you use it like this, especially after the nerf. What you're actually going to do is equip one of Nakata's melee weapons and use their bash attacks instead. I prefer the kunai as it has the highest melee damage of all of Nakata's melee weapons, and the bash attack is generously long, so you can drag it through multiple enemies the same way that you would with like Killing Floor 2's Zweihander or Katana. This strategy is also highly dependent on weapon mods. You can see that the base damage is 567, but with the right mods you can get it to like 794. And on top of that, 3 of our 5 mods have the Melee Master Tier 3 bonus ability, each of which gives us another 20% bash damage. Without all of these, your damage will be pathetically low, and you won't be able to deal with large Zeds in any reasonable amount of time, especially in multiplayer. In any case, what happened that nerfed this build? Very simply, back in the beta, Barbecue Bash used to read, bashes deal 250% bonus damage. That's percent bonus damage, as opposed to now, where it says 250 flat damage. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Depending on what the base damage is, a percentage could be better or worse. Well, let's take the case of the kunai. Back in the beta, the kunai had a base damage that was like 167 at base, and with mods you could get up to 304. Way less than what we have now. I'm happy to see that it has been increased, because back then, Nakata dealt 0 damage. It was a really bad problem. So now we can get close to 800 damage. So with 800 damage as our base, what is better? Well, 300 base damage with a 500% bonus puts it at something like 1800, whereas 800 base damage plus a flat 500 is like 1300, which is basically like a 33% decrease in damage compared to what we had before. Or at least that's what I thought was happening. Now that I've fully reassembled the build and have tested it out, we're actually somehow dealing close to 75% less damage. Something to do with all of the multipliers involved is causing the math to favor the flat damage a lot less. Back during the beta, if you had this exact weapon and perk setup and you stabbed a Flesh Pound in the head during Zed time while he was on fire, you would kill him in one shot, assuming solo player scaling. Obviously, this was too strong, and the nerf was probably justified. However, if we tried to do that now under those same circumstances, it takes 4 headshots with solo scaling. That is not great, but for solo play, that's like manageable. But for 6-player scaling, forget it, this build is dead. And the real kicker is that this nerf didn't even accomplish what I assume was their intent, which is to just like encourage this to be used with gun bashes. The numbers are still too low to hit any reasonable breakpoint for Hell on Earth. Oh, and just a little side tangent. Why does this demonstration video show you bashing a bloat to death? You should never ever do this. Gun bashes are an interruption tool. You bash the bloat once and then you run past him. You don't stand there bashing him until he explodes and melts your armor. I don't understand the purpose of this skill. Oh, and by the way, it's not just Firebug with this issue. There's a fucking epidemic of these useless bash skills across these perk trees. Imran, for example. Inner Rage. Why does Inner Rage have bash damage stapled to it? It does even less damage than Barbecue Bash, even though it's still percentage. Why is it here? I'd rather drop the bash damage entirely and just have more weapon damage. Foster 2, again, at level 26. A Real Rager. Again, bash damage increase. Why? Syringes are limited use, too. You need to get as much value as you can out of these 20 seconds, and the potential values of the movement speed and weapon damage are being dragged down by the addition of this useless stat. To be clear, gun bashes are not useful because they can kill trash mobs. Gun bashes are useful because they can stagger medium and large Zeds that are in your way. If you want to add more damage to the gun bash, the selling point cannot be that you can kill one trash Zed harder than you already were. I wish I knew what they were thinking. I wish I knew what they were thinking for like half of this shit. Going back to the Firebug, now that Barbecue Bash has been gutted, that leaves only one viable option for level 26, and it's still a direct downgrade to Imran's version of this skill. And seriously, Extinguisher? Like, I think I get what they were going for. It's supposed to like keep trash Zeds off of you while you're reloading, but the radius is too small to be useful to you if you're playing correctly and slide jumping away from Zeds when you reload. I guess if you want to grief yourself and stand still to reload, this will get some value. But other than that, the only thing Extinguisher is good for right now is exploiting its interaction with Nakata's Shuriken, since it reloads after every throw. You can trigger it like 5 times a second and immobilize immobilize and kill every trash Zed around you just by throwing shurikens at your feet. And even that's not very good. Like, expect that to get fixed before we see any tangible balance changes. And never mind the fact that this is your level 26 passive. This is supposed to be when builds come online, when your damage finally kicks in, and Firebug gets what? Cute little reload speed, formerly overpowered, now useless gimmick, and consolation prize. Oh, and speaking of useless, I don't know what they were thinking putting Blast Zone next to Hot Streak, as if slightly larger explosion radius could ever compete with basically doubling the uptime of your gadget. Also, Double Feature and From the Ashes are rendered completely obsolete by flammable material. Picking Double Feature is actively griefing yourself, and From the Ashes is play-to-lose trash. You wouldn't need to save your gadget until you die if you were instead being proactive with it and hard CCing everything around you with flammable material. There's things like these all over the perk trees, and I could go on, but ultimately that's not the purpose of this video. I'm just going to hop into a solo Hell on Earth and show you how the melee build performs now that the game has been released. Being efficient with your operational budget, you kind of want to have a starting weapon that takes up, maybe not all, but like the important thing is to get your operational budget as close to 0 as possible. You want to saturate this as much as you can. So I've gone out of my way to equip mods on this starting gun that put it as close to 2960 as I can so that I can still afford green armor at the start. And doing that means you have that much more dosh to work with once you're in the game and you sell this for, you know, your upgrades. If I wanted to, I could put like $500 more worth of mods on this thing, and then just opt out of the armor, and that would give me even more dosh for the upgrade. But the kunai isn't that expensive, so I don't think I need it. Also, Firebug players, if you didn't know, the semi-auto fire fires faster than full auto. This is full auto. This is semi-auto. important. Priorities. Can never have enough biosteel. Absolutely tragic. Do we have enough? We do. Alright. That's basically all you need in terms of, like, progressing the build. Once you have your kunai on this particular build, that's all you truly need. Later on, I'll probably repurchase my starting gun so that I have a reliable access to fire in case I'm out of Molotovs and my gadget is on cooldown. That would be pretty rare, though. Probably more likely in multiplayer during boss waves. I love having Zed time with no Zeds around. CCing themselves because I'm low on health, gotta love that. Yeah, takes way longer than it used to, but we can still stun lock them pretty well with the Molotov. So it's still kind of a safe kill in solo, but in multiplayer, that's gonna take forever. And we already have our gadget back up. So basically, like, the loop of this is that when you use your gadget, you have to try and run around and kill as many things as you can, and like you just saw there, if you kill enough of them, you can get your gadget back before flammable material runs out. And you can kind of loop your things like that, basically for the entire wave, depending on the density of Zeds. So that aspect of this will actually scale in effectiveness in multiplayer when the density of Zeds is higher, because the more Zeds there are, the more things you can kill, and the more things you kill, the faster you get your gadget back. And at this point, you just upgrade your armor, repurchase your brimstone, and from that point on, you can start giving... Oh, yeah, flammable material. From that point on, you can start giving money to your teammates. Upgrade, upgrade... Yeah, okay, we'll get it next wave. Oh, and purchasing tools, it's better to use them. If you hoard them, then you're basically wasting efficiency, because you have a certain number of tool uses per wave, and they don't, like, stack up over time. If you don't use your tool, you lose it, basically. Give me more Zeds to kill. Oh, you know what? I'll take it. I hear a flesh pound. Yeah, 4 hits while he's on fire. Siren behind me? I don't really care. Okay, now I care. I thought I heard something big. I really don't like using executes, particularly during Z time. It's basically time spent not killing everything else around you. Please turn towards me. Thank you. I've had that clip me outside of the map before, so taking that zipline can be risky. Did I forget to deploy my syringes? After saying that you should do that? Yep. This is what we're gonna use for the rest of the match. So every dosh we earn from here on out is just accelerating your teammates. Not that they need the acceleration. Like, on paper, Hell on Earth is supposed to be the hardest economy, but like in actuality, it's probably on par with normal, just because of the density of Zeds. Like, actually, the hardest economy is hard difficulty, because it's in the spot where the economy is slightly nerfed from normal, and there aren't enough Zeds to make up for it. Hell on Earth has so many more Zeds that it does make up for it. That's what I was waiting for. I really could have held off there. I didn't need the healing yet, but I'll take a straight kill. Yeah, it's not very impressive time to kills. If there were, like, one way I would salvage this, it's probably, like, expand the pool of Tier 3 bonus abilities so that you can get Melee Master on all slots. Just to stack all of those, and that would give this, like, relevance in multiplayer scaling. Because for now, it's a little anemic. I thought I had my gadget up, I was trying to spam it. It really cannot be overstated how much flammable material is, like, how much damage flammable material is preventing. So much chip damage that could be happening around us, and it's all being negated by things just standing still. Again, could be smarter with my gadget usage, but we don't say no to scrape kills. He's getting a little spicy there with his density. Well-timed Z time with larges around. We take those. These are all free kills. Anybody else? Did not realize there was yet another one. Also, don't underestimate the amount of damage your block and parry can prevent. You don't need to use it often, mainly just for... You know, I do take these. Or I would. Yeah, like I said, you don't need to use your parries often, mainly just for Scrakes and Fleshbounds and the boss, of course. But they are the largest sources of damage besides chip damage, and with chip damage being prevented by flammable material, you can parry the Fleshbounds and Scrakes, and it saves you a lot of trouble. Do I just take Pulse Lures? Make this last round a breeze? Because you kind of want to... You want Shock Traps for the final wave, just so you can hold the boss still while you stab it. But other than that, like, Pulse Lures are good to have for the waves, especially Wave 5. I would have preferred to hit him with the shockwave of that, but it's fine, he's still dead. I'm surprised we didn't get any mutations. Usually you get at least one wave mutation. You can skip the recovery of that syringe animation by switching weapons, by the way. Wait for the rage, then we go in. This Scrake is a bigger threat than the Fleshpound. Man, I wish I didn't execute there. The downside of a bash-based strategy, I guess. Wait, I still have flammable material up. I should be going in. I will take this one. I don't have anything up that I care about. Man! It's fine. I didn't need to use the Z time anyway. So yeah, without the speed to kill that we used to have back in the beta, you end up taking a lot more damage just because it takes you longer to kill the large Zeds. So you take a lot of incidental damage from... Yeah, like that Flesh Pound that just hit me. I would have been on the Flesh Pound and killing him next if that Scrake didn't take 4 hits to kill. Even if it were like 3 hits to kill, it would have been not that bad. Heard one more Flesh Pound behind, trying to quickly get that Scrake kill. Oh. Don't worry, he had 2 in reserve. And perfectly timed Zed time. Now we kill out the rest of these larges. Now for bosses, Impaler's the easiest just because he's the easiest. Queen Crawler is annoying, but can be not that bad, especially if you have favorable terrain. Chimera is the worst, partly because he resists fire, but also because he resists cut, if I remember correctly. So we don't deal a lot of damage to Chimera. Where do I want to do this? This room's probably the best. If I get Chimera, having something like this to circle around is very useful. If I get Queen Crawler out here, it would be nice, because then when she does her teleporting portal charge moves in Phase 2, like, you can bait it out here, go up here, bait it out here, hop over, and then you're safe. And for the Impaler, you can just stay in his face and do whatever you want. I'll take it. Ooh, and the Enfeeble proc too. Wasn't really counting on that, but I'll take it. I kind of want to save my gadget until I need it to heal. So I'm using my Brimstone to apply the fire I need. And this is when we want to start taking advantage of this terrain. Oh. You know, I could have been using my shock trap this entire time. I don't know why I haven't been. I just forget to, sometimes when you don't need it. Very awkwardly timed Z time. Oh, and it's still the case, if you're standing right in front of her, and you parry, there's a chance her forward momentum just takes her through your hitbox and she hits you behind you. That can be annoying. So you kind of want to keep your distance if you're able to. It's not super important, because again, in solo difficulty, she's not that difficult. And now she's dead. So it's like, it's okay. The traditional Firebug builds that use your Ifrit, your Vulcan are going to be much better, obviously. And for solo play, this is like doable. I would even go so far as to say it's viable for solo play. But again, the multiplayer scaling makes your time to kills way, way worse, so it's not really worth it anymore. Still though, 1.1 million damage. So yeah, that's the state of like melee Firebug as it is now. Again, what I'd mostly like to see, number one, I guess before any of this, is some quality of life in the armory, so we can tell which mods have access to which tier 3 abilities, because, for example, the Psyblade attachment, the one that we use for this melee build, I'm fairly certain it's possible to roll Melee Master, but maybe I've just gotten incredibly unlucky, because it appears to have the same pool of tier 3 abilities as other ones, but yeah, we just keep getting Z time Rampage, which is okay, but I'd rather have 100% uptime on the bash damage rather than Z time. And this, I'd like to see Melee Master be added to the, or just take all of the tier 3 bonus ability pools and just allow them all to be rolled on everything. And like furthermore, show us what the pools are so we know what we're rolling for. Because like I don't want to waste a whole bunch of resources trying to roll for something that doesn't exist. And like allowing the players to stack multiple things on one thing, like what are you really afraid of? Because like yeah, Melee Master gimmick on this would be goofy, and it would bring it up to viability if you could stack 5 of them instead of 3 of them. But like what else are we even talking about here? Like, oh no, teammates within 10 meters gain 3% damage for 3 seconds after you kill an enemy. Wow, now that's dangerous. If we stacked 5 of them, that's almost the strength of a single skill on a tier 3 bonus ability. Like some of these are wildly imbalanced. Like this is useless. That's very useful if you can stack a lot of it. But again, the disparity, like why this is in the same pool as this is insane to me. Like these need to be normalized and like loosened up a bit. The grind is obnoxious, I will say. I'd like to see some quality of life on that. And obviously, the balance is all over the place. Like just do something about this, please. Really, for all of them. I'm just focusing on Firebug for now because that's the first perk that I got to level 30. Yeah, I'm going to keep playing this, keep experimenting. Again, Barbecue Bash, still in a very, like, weak state, I would say. Because most of the work there being done is just from the weapon itself and all of these Melee Master mods. I don't know who I'm going to try next. Probably Nakata, maybe Imran. I played Imran a lot during the beta. There's some things to do there. Like, particularly because I take an interest in cross-perk stuff. Like, there's some gimmicky stuff that you can do with, like, Nakata, for example. You grab something like Roaring Tiger, and then Ebb and Flow, and then Leopard Fist. Those all increase, like, the damage you can deal with ranged cut weapons. And then you just, like, buy a Scar from the Commando perk and outfit it with hollow point rounds. And then, like, that's your build. And it's actually quite effective. That's the sort of things that I like looking into when I play this game. So I think that's what I'm going to try and go for next to see how good it is. If I remember correctly, when I tried it during the beta, it was still quite strong. And I don't think the devs didn't catch on to that strategy when I was trying it, so it still might be quite worth looking into. But, yeah, if I end up doing that, I'll post a video about it. If not, then I probably dropped this game.